Welcome to Cardone Debates. This is Dana, your host. We do Cardone Debates every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Today, we're going to be speaking on surveillance or no surveillance. We had a little bit of a eyed wide shut situation behind the scenes. So yeah, we have a new guest today. You guys will meet him. Gary, what do you think about this topic today?
Well, I think we're just going to have to plow through why we need to surveil every fucking one of you peeps, because you're not trustworthy. So me and my man, I just flew the bomber out to the European nations and picked up my man Pantyhose. I want to introduce my new man here. I just brought him in to really ball out these debates because I'm tired of, kind of they've been a little soft. So my man has to stay undercover because he is so important, but we're going to refer to him as my man Pantyhose. Can we bring him up, please?
Thank you, Gary.
Pantyhose, what's up, man? Bro, how you doing? How you doing from that long flight?
It's good. It's good. I've been trying to perfect this accent all day.
Good.
I'll give a few people a bit of a clue. I'm actually from a chicken farm in Arkansas, but I've lived overseas for a very long time.
Yeah, I didn't really want to mention the part about you being a crack farmer, but if you want to go there, the Arkansas thing, you want to talk about your relationship with the Clintons?
I can't talk about that.
Right. What can you talk about? Surveillance, maybe?
Maybe surveillance. Maybe why we should be looking for you. And why we're going to find you. And you've only got yourselves to blame.
There it is, Dana. I think you've heard from our side where we're going with this. I'm very proud to represent that we're going to crush. We are going to crush. Who do you have to actually come up here and have an intelligent conversation about surveillance? Anyone that's the audience may know, or do I need to keep asking questions?
Well, actually, let's bring Eric up because this is Eric's favorite topic of discussion. Good to have you back, Eric Rice.
Hey, guys. What's up, Pantyhose?
Living the dream.
Hey, Panty, you want to tell Eric what is the three numbers in the middle of his social are? Or you want to wait till later?
No. I just, he left the gas on, by the way.
Yeah.
Every time I cook, man. Every time I cook.
Hey, listen, make sure that his wife watches these, so make sure you don't share some of that detail that we discovered. I don't want to embarrass him.
Yeah, please pocket that, Pantyhose. Throw it right in the pantyhose. Forget all about it.
We'll put that in the little black book, and we'll circle back to that later.
Absolutely.
I love circling back. So, Eric, on your team, you guys are the no surveillance.
Got my man.
Dustin.
My man.
Welcome back, Dustin.
What in the ever-loving F do we have going on here? Gary's participating in some kind of humiliation ritual of this guy, Pantyhose, right? Like, who's hiding behind some...
Bring him into the crew, bro.
Some dude with an Irish accent hiding behind some Joker face. I don't even know what's going on here.
This is already weird.
I'm surprised.
I don't know why we're all up in arms about this.
Absurd. Cave it shows. Again, I think this makes it clear, right? The only people who are in favor of the surveillance state are the people who want to control the surveillance state. Surveillance for you, but not for me. We see how it is. I'm going to be anonymous behind a mask on the, like, I'm not even going to show my face.
Super trustworthy.
But I'm going to argue in favor of the surveillance state. I mean, what part of Ireland are you even from?
Well, definitely not the South. Put it that way. I know which foot I kick with.
So I've been friends with Pav for a long time, and like his Irish roots really are strong, and like so the debates could just be excellent tonight.
I'm anxiously awaiting the defense of the surveillance state. This is actually
Viva
going to be very
Oliver
entertaining.
Cromwell, that's all I can say.
Should we introduce our sponsor, Monero, today, or?
No, they've been hacked, Gary. They're at a 51% attack until the 19th. We can't introduce them yet. Oh, it's the 19th.
Just throwing a surveillance thing out there. Shall we start, Dana? I'm thinking that it is perhaps time to launch the Kraken.
I agree. Well, usually we like our guests to go first. So is that how we're going to proceed this time, or do you guys want to?
I mean, I think Gary or whoever this clown is need to go probably first. Only because I can't even conceive of the argument for being pro surveillance. So like it would be helpful from a debate perspective to just
before Dustin blows all his ammo on the preload, let's identify the debate, please. The debate is zero surveillance or all-in surveillance. Is that right? Because we don't think there's any kind of gray area. Is that what we're saying? All in.
Correct. We like to go all in. Yep.
Okay, good. Just for the audience, I think it's good for the audience to know, hey, it's either all surveillance or no surveillance. Does that include, by the way, that the police would be able to use equipment to see through your home?
Yes.
Because I have that shit. Okay, I have that stuff, and I'm going to use it on you. So that's what we're talking about, right?
I believe that's where we're going.
That's one of them.
Let's go.
All right, so
pantyhose. I think pantyhose should go.
I can give you the 10,000-foot view.
He knows. You got 2 minutes. Dana's not going to tell you, but you get 2 minutes, my man.
Okay,
Janie, 2 minutes for pantyhose.
No, national security. Everyone's a patriot. Crime prevention. Got to keep this country under control. Look at what the Democrats have actually done to our cities. We need to prevent that crime. Public safety. All those people abusing, their licenses, killing people, causing accidents, terrorizing people in emergency rooms. Law enforcement. We all support law enforcement, don't we? Aids to the justice system. And it's a deterrent. It's like we have security guards standing at Target. Do they do any good? No, but it's a deterrent. If people think they're watching you and you're being watched, you're less likely to commit an offense, commit an act of treason. And above all, public order. Who's in favor of public order? Look at the way some of these people have demonstrated. Look how they've abused their rights. I'm shocked. So, there's the 10,000-foot view. And also, the big one, for all you naysayers out there, accountability. It's all about accountability. How do we hold individuals, organizations accountable for their actions? This aids what we all want, which is transparency and the abuse of power. I can leave it at that. There you go, 10,000-foot view. If you're not in favor of that, hand your passport in.
Gary, are you speaking right now? Because your mic is off.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear myself talk. I didn't want anybody else to hear the brilliance, so I thought I'd just mute myself out. I thought that was brilliant. I think it's very simple, very basic. Who wants social order? Do you want social order or not? It's either yes or no. And I don't think Eric or Dustin can do anything with this. By the way, Dana, you are looking spectacular today.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm all about transparency as well, actually. As Pantyhose has said.
I mean, gentlemen, if you don't have anything to hide, what are you worried about? I mean, really, if you don't have anything to hide, what are you worried about, right?
My thoughts exactly.
Because there has never been an instance ever in the history of government where they may misconstrue or take out of context things that happen as a result.
Dustin's making your point, huh? 2 minutes for Dustin. Let's hear it.
As a result of surveillance. Now, right, it's cute to me because I love the idea when, right, if it pleases the crown, I would just love to be able to make some arguments and point out some facts about the effectiveness of your quote unquote surveillance state. Now, what we know it's used for is the abuse of political activists, the abuse of people who stand up against the system, the people who stand up against authoritarian power. What we know it's not effective for, any of the little magic stuff that this little Irish guy wanted to talk to us about. How many terrorists has the TSA stopped since we implemented at 9/11? Since we put since you had to go through and run your badge and take your shoes off. Do you know the number of terrorists that they have, the TSA is responsible for stopping? You can't count them on your fingers because it's zero. None. It's a big old nothing burger. For all that money, for all that effort, you know what we've got? Bub kiss. Bub kiss. Now, this is a particularly important issue in this age of artificial intelligence and pattern recognition. So what's dangerous is our system largely has built into it a lot of discretion that's given to prosecutors, that's given to judges, to be able to look at places where the law should apply. The thing is, our laws are so onerous, so many hundreds of thousands of pages of legal code. There's several great books that have been written. It was a key point in Ben Carson's presidential campaign. We all commit felonies every day. Every single one of us commits felonies every single day on paper. And if we are allowed and give full surveillance, it leads to selective enforcement based on politics.
Well, Dustin, you know, I would expect you to say all those things. Kind of a repeated broken record of, you know, the small man just kind of whining, constantly whining, going to your political events and just disturbing the social order, right? Exciting people unnecessarily, getting their emotions up. It is people like you, okay, that like if you just go over the edge a little bit, like how do we know we can trust you in the next 10 years or 20 years? So look, you people, you know what? You people don't want the truth. You can't handle the fucking truth. There are men dying, doing things that you and I would never do. And we sit here and go, well, we don't want us, okay? Those of us that really understand what's going on the world stage, we are here to protect you. And it's not our job to show our blueprint to you or our enemy or anyone else. This is above 350 million people's pay grades. Let's face it, okay? There's only a few of us that have enough information, enough power, and enough connectivity to keep this planet safe. So we need to be able to see the matrix. And if you have nothing to hide, I don't know why everyone's so jacked up. If you have nothing to hide, the only people that should be really worried about surveillance is bad people, criminals, or people that are getting ready to commit crimes. Look, me and Pantyhose just got back from a meeting with one of the largest tech firms in the world, and we have the ability now to actually read your thoughts and help you prevent committing a crime before it happens. We are the social orders. We are here to bring heaven to earth, man. And you guys are only complaining about it. We have people that are burning down 5G towers in London. What a shame. We're trying to do mass communication and education for people using technology, bringing us all into the 21st century, and you're fighting it and resisting it. I don't understand it. I think it's anti-American. I'll end there.
So much compliance, much fear.
Wow, that's inspirational. Thank you, Gary.
Dana, can I add?
I get passionate about
You
this.
can't add. No adding, Pantyhose. You get no adding.
I have to say, I'm just absolutely shocked that I'm seeing somebody like Dustin Stockton showing his true colors of standing up for free Palestine.
Oh yeah, baby.
Shameful.
I mean, Penny, did I do a decent job? I'm thinking you didn't even have to take your Viagra for that one. I think it laid out and you got like, wow, my partner is fucking awesome.
I couldn't have put it better myself.
That's what I was thinking, man.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right, well, let's get to the meat.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Speaking of meat,
please.
Speaking of meat, so surveillance state, what does it actually mean? We haven't defined that. That's all-knowing, all-seeing eye that looks over all of society, takes your data, puts into one location. What's the actual purpose of surveillance? I don't think people have something to hide, but I think humanity has something to gain by removing surveillance state. A surveillance state by itself, the data that gets aggregated and sent off to the authorities who are not under a surveillance state, they're going to use that for behavioral manipulation. So they're going to create the society in which they want to rule. That's first and foremost. The other thing is basic scientific. Your name is Pavlov dogs. They're pantyhose. And you should understand that we will be programmed like dogs to lap up anything that the government gives us along the way. When you are constantly under video surveillance, data surveillance, home surveillance, yes, you will behave accordingly and social order will occur, but it's all fake. Everyone will be doing whatever they can do to stay out of trouble and out of the sight of those who look over them. A surveillance state by itself not only destroys social order and harmony as it should be, where people are acting authentically and living their authentic lives, it actually destroys innovation over time. When people are afraid to take risks because everything they do is under a microscope, you will have no innovation. The only innovation that will occur under a full surveillance stage is more surveillance. The technology that will be produced, which isn't far off of where we are today, is produced as a trade-off. The surveillance state that we live in right now, the prison that we live in right now, is voluntary. I'll give you free email, but I'll send emails on your behalf if I like. Read your Google documents when you have terms and conditions. Gmail has the ability to send emails on your behalf anytime they want. I'm going to give you this luxurious cell phone, which will suck you in for 8 hours a day, completely draw you away from your life. You'll no longer live authentically. We're going to give you free social media that you can use. We're going to take that data and aggregate it through an AI system and create AI bots to manipulate the way that you think, live, and feel on a daily basis.
Preach.
Surveillance states end humanity, period.
Thank you, Eric. Guys, thanks so much for coming here and listening to this very important topic today. Remember to like and share so that we can have more conversations like this. And if you have any really good topics, please send me a message so we can do that next week.
So I just, for just sake of clarity, right, which is, I think we've largely given away, like people have voluntarily given up their privacy.
Yep.
And I think that's sad and tragic. And to me in this debate, one of the key words is state, which is if two individuals would like to enter into a contract with one another, or two entities want to enter into a contract with one another, then that's their right to do it. The key is when it's centralized with the state and the government and the people who have the monopoly on power, right? When you add the level of authority to the surveillance state, you get what I like to call the unholy trinity of tyranny, which is the central bank digital currency, the social credit score, and the digital ID. The digital ID obviously is what allows them to identify every action you take, every website you look at, and to apply that to your social credit score, which then can be led to your central bank digital currency and how your money is programmed. This dystopian system is already largely in play. The scary part of this is that this isn't something like far off in a faraway galaxy in a dystopian future. It's already here. Many of us have already been debanked without an indictment, without a court case, and without Fourth Amendment due process, specifically for our political views. And the larger that the surveillance state gets, the less freedom that people will ever be able to exercise. And so the only real solution here is full-blown anarchy, which is if you try to look at me, we should be able to tear your systems down and burn your homes to the ground and throw you in prisons forever. I think that's only fair.
I find it funny the two pro-surveillance state guys are muted. We shall say nothing as we steal your rights.
Really told me on that one.
I was too busy laughing at the naivety. I was too busy laughing at the naivety. I actually agree with Eric. We, the people, we need to be protected from unregulated tech companies.
Yes.
That is what the government will do.
Exactly.
That's why we are not
We are the regulators.
with individual companies.
You're here to help.
They're the only people that count to these companies, making masses of money, stealing our data, corrupting our lives, everything that Dustin pointed out. However, we are part of the big company. We the people. We vote and we control that company, which is the federal government. Thank you.
I think, well said. I think that Dustin really kind of put the nail in the coffin, so to speak, in that he agrees that surveillance has already occurred. Now, one of the things that we never talk about is because of the amount of surveillance that has already been exposed, there are state actors outside of our particular divisions and departments that already have all your information. For us not to have all this information and protect you would be like letting the enemy have the keys to your vault of Bitcoin. So we are here once again serving the American, protecting the future of our sovereign nation and our democracy, and not really a democracy.
Eric, can you believe Gary Cardone is talking about quantum computing taking our Bitcoin keys?
Look,
I
converted all my Bitcoin.
When you overcut your coverage, there's no coming back.
I called up the guy that does Palantir. I said, dude, if I sell all my Bitcoin, can I buy in at a discount? And he let me. So I am now a Palantir shareholder. And I feel about as dirty as I possibly could feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean,
he means clean. Real quick, Eric, I just want to, before I kick it.
Rich. I feel really rich now.
Finish it off. I think it's just important to point out that because we're under surveillance, you guys, crime is already gone. Social order is perfectly intact and nothing is going wrong. And
that's great.
And the people we have to be protected from are these bad companies who aren't protected by the government, because the one thing that you can really be sure of as a good company is the one who bribes all the politicians and gets the special rules written for themselves.
Don't forget mental health, Dustin. Don't forget about how great a shape our mental health is in as a nation under the existing surveillance state. We're doing great. We have kids using litter boxes in middle school. Everything's fine. We're already under surveillance state, and mental health is at a premium. Just walk down the street of Philadelphia, New York, anywhere in California. Mental health is doing really well under the surveillance state. But the best part about this argument has been that we're the government and we're here to help. So let's go into surveillance state and its true intention, which is not actually to surveil. It is actually to modify behavior and to program human beings, who are the most programmable of beings on Earth. So the end result of surveillance state is complete control over the mind control. Where did that begin? Where did the MK Ultra program begin? Oh, it began in Soviet Russia in the 1930s. So the entire intention of the surveillance state of the KGB was to modify behavior and to be able to control the minds of the people that they ruled. Now, this program was brought into the United States. It has been propagated and changed the name about 1,000 times. It still exists today. But that is the entire purpose of a surveillance state, is to control behavior. As Pantyhose so eloquently stated earlier, we want to create social order. Well, social order in its original construct has nothing to do with Big Daddy government watching over you. It has to do with you and your own ability to be a good person and to work alongside your neighbor. So when you cannot trust your neighbor because you're under surveillance and you can't talk to them authentically, you create a massive society of distrust. Distrust leads to weakness. Weakness leads to control. And you end up in a situation where human beings are, by definition, corralled cattle. And that is the end result of a pure surveillance state.
Thank you.
An orderly state is a good state.
How do I do that? Here. Is that how you drop the mic?
A ridiculously small state is a good state. A state that is confined by the restraints of the Constitution is a good state. A state that surveils is a full-blown retard inbred monarchy like my boy Pavlov supports.
I mean, a ridiculous small state Okay, so let's roll back and let's go back to barter systems. Let's have candles in the houses.
Oh yeah.
Let's be afraid to go out at night. Let's go out and tend the chickens. You know, let's go back to an agrarian economy. You can't roll back time. We are literally where we are. That is the reality of it. You know, the situation is that we're already in this revolution, this war. You know, China's not any better than us at doing surveillance. They just have, you know, DeepSeek is based on millions and millions and millions of smaller computers using inferior chips where they're creating data where they can actually use predictive models. We are using predictive models with AI, which is ChatGPT and all that type of stuff, which is very, very heavily biased towards a Western democratic philosophy and thought. DeepSeek isn't. You can't ask about Tiananmen Square, etc. Everything else has they have guardrails on. We have to either choose to live in a society where those guardrails are very narrow or they're very, very wide. Very, very wide is anarchy. Very, very close together, touching, is a dictatorship. All right. We have to find that middle course. Unfortunately, our competitors operate between very, very narrow guidelines. They attack us on a daily basis. They go after our infrastructure. They know if they bring down our infrastructure, you know, this country would collapse within 7 to 10 days. So we have to fight against that. We have to set up systems inside the surveillance state, as you wish, to actually monitor and to predict and counter social disruptive behavior. We model those. That's why we can use those overseas as well. You know, we can go towards Pax Americana and make sure that continues. We're not going to go towards Pax Romana and Pax Britannia, which is where the Chinese are.
Oh, we must all become Chinese to stop the Chinese.
Oh, no, I'm not saying. But if you don't become and react,
Are you
and
praising the CCP? Is that where we're going?
and protect yourself,
our entire
you will get swept away. You will
we
get
will we?
absolutely, you will get swept away.
Okay.
And you know, wishing things were the way they were, and looking through rose-tinted glasses, looking for your little white picket fence.
It's way better to be chicken little mofo. Oh my God! If we don't like take full control of everybody, you guys, then the people who do. Listen, our entire philosophy in this country, the reason that America did more to advance the human condition than every other civilization that came before it combined, is pretty simple, which is we believe that centralized power is inferior in results and in process to centralized control, which is when you allow decentralization, when you allow people to experiment, when you give them freedom, when you're not afraid of, oh my God, what could they possibly be doing in the shadows over here? Then you get better tech, better results, better advancement. And this fear mongering, right? I guess we've moved on. It's no longer Muzzies. Like, it's not the Muslims. Like we've now it is the Ostlentai are coming to get us. If we do not have the same level of centralized control at the Centralized, we are in big trouble, you guys. We are in very, very big trouble. Like, listen, if we want to win, the way we win is very simple. We support decentralization. We allow people to experiment, and we get better control and results at the end of the day. We win because we do not put all of the ideas in the hands of established power. Anybody in America can come up with the next great tech idea, advance it, and win the game. If we put all this, we have to give Palantir everything, you guys, or we're going to lose to China. It's so antithetical to everything that we as Americans should stand for. It disgusts me.
Interesting that you're actually asking for better control, though, isn't it?
Yeah, pantyhose. It was very interesting to me that we're hearing this from a guy who has had so much trouble with enforcement authorities. I mean, he's been a pain in the ass to the U.S. government. Government's probably spent millions just surveilling him because of some of his shenanigans. We cannot have unruly people like this man coming into an open market and disturbing it. We are at great risk today in America, and you people, we have the safest country on the planet with the lowest taxation. That is risk-adjusted return. Okay, Americans, if you guys just knew how much threat and danger there is out there, we are hated by the world right now. We are hated by the world, and you don't see all the threats that we see. I wish pantyhose could share some of the things that are going on this planet that would, quite frankly, terrify people.
Protect what we have.
Are the threats in the room with you right now? Are they in there? Right now? Are they in the room with you?
Or is what?
No, they're not, Dustin. They're actually in Washington D.C. right now, so they're not in the room currently with Yuri Cardone.
Well, my iPhone is on.
Well, so then they're in the room with you.
My iPhone is on. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me address these feminine retorts.
My 007 phone is ringing.
Yeah, these retorts are dumb. So, number one,
how about that? You're dumb.
Great.
You're ignorant.
One of the best retorts here is that as soon as someone says they want to have freedom, we always hear the retort of, "Oh, let's just go back to colonial times and churn our own butter and make our own chicken." Guess what? Food and the injection of synthetic materials into your body is part of programming. So yeah, would we like to have real food from real chickens? Absolutely. That would actually help fight the surveillance state, which again, I will reiterate, it's not necessarily the watching, it's the predicting. So we're predicting that based on what people have done in the past, that they're going to do these things in the future. That is the largest threat to humanity in the history of the world, considering humanity, by and large, is fairly unpredictable in small doses. In large quantities, very predictable in nature. But we have that retort. That's always the best one. Well, we're not going back to colonial times. We're already in a surveillance state. I don't disagree. Actually, I hate the fact that we're in here, which is why Dana has to text me the link to this, because I will not connect my phone to my computer and make it easier to be surveilled. So we have this debate that's happening right now, and it's actually fairly good, even though it's weak on the surveillance side today. Very weak, gentlemen. Taxes, we're taxed less. Is that where we're going here, Gary? I believe
adjusted for the safety factor.
For the safety. Oh, yeah. So the slaves in Genesis who paid 20% to the Pharaoh, they were safer than we are today at twice as much, right? So, the debate
I'm quite certain your life today is much safer than in the Pharaoh days.
Oh, of course. And I pay twice as much, right? So,
and you did not have a centralized surveillance system like ours.
Oh, sure I did. I was, Gary, did you not hear my word? I was a slave in the days of Pharaoh. My entire life was under surveillance. I was a slave in those times. So slaves are constantly under surveillance. So surveillance states create slaves. We are no longer slaves per se, but we pay twice as much as they did in the times of Genesis. We have less freedoms available. I know that is highly debatable, but the biggest freedom you can possibly have in this country is the right to privacy. And privacy is selling at a premium in today's world.
Now, Eric, you know, and I know, because I know that you're a good Christian man, that freedom is given to those who are most responsible. And let's be honest, okay? We're talking about human beings. 4% of the people on this planet are not responsible. We need to make sure they're okay, so you're okay. They want us to show them what their meal is, what the school is. These are not, let's be honest, okay? These are not people that, well, they kind of become a danger to society. Let's face it.
Free thinkers.
Yeah,
Huge danger.
Freedom for irresponsible people.
What defines irresponsible people? Irresponsible by your or the government's perspective, or irresponsible by theirs?
We want you to be calm and safe. That's so we're looking at the bigger picture here. Okay, we're into calm. Okay, we actually have a division called CALM, the calm program. And actually, you're going to really hate this, but Pantyhose and I just got back from a trip. We saw 2 big tech companies, and one of them, I was trying to talk about this, was actually showing us results from prediction models of embryonic DNA tests we do in a pregnant woman. She has to be at least 3 months pregnant, and we'll tell you what the IQ and demeanor of that child's going to be in 18 years. And if you score poorly, then we should, early terminate.
Absolutely. But we need to get a majority of the population and actually keep them towards, where we are at the moment, where the average IQ is around 98. If we keep people functional between 90 and 98, they can do 1, maybe 2 tasks competently. Then, those of us that actually know better, 120 plus IQ, we can start doing the middle management bit. We can start directing it. And one of the discussions that we had was that we need more reality TV, and we need more sports on television.
A lot more. Where are sports, man?
When you're working 2 jobs to pay your rent, and you'll be happy about it.
And you will never revolt with all that bread and circus.
I personally think that we should reintroduce porn to everyone. I mean, just roll porn out to 6-year-olds, and then you tag them. And
I'm thinking even like public display. That probably makes a lot of sense too. What's really
public display? What's that?
No, so
live porn.
There've been a couple really good comments.
You got weird. I don't even know what that is.
I just put it together. I had no idea.
We should definitely get Jen and Maria on the panel at some point. Maria's brought up a couple of really interesting points. But
yeah, she has.
One of the things that I think is worth us discussing, as part of this discussion, is how much the fact that we're always under surveillance has already modified behavior in society. So we had kind of the discussion men-women thing last week or the week before. How much is relationships changing because people are constantly how much harder is it? I can only imagine to go find somebody when you're worried if you fumble that it's going to be blasted all over social media, right? I imagine it's changed all kinds of dynamics in ways that the second, third, fourth order effects that we haven't even considered. And because the fact of the matter is the surveillance state is already here.
Yep.
Right? We are under the level at which we are under surveillance is terrifying. And it's funny because people like to joke about having an FBI agent, right? Or their version of Jim in the van. Me and my wife were put under a FISA surveillance warrant, and were monitored and tracked for 18 months, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Everything we did digitally, everything we did live, tracked by the government at all times. It is not fun. It's not reasonable. And what you realize when it happens to you is that all of your most vulnerable moments, all of your moments of awkwardness or passion, you don't if you're constantly thinking that somebody is watching or could be watching, you're going to start modifying your behavior. I think that's why Eric really won the day with this one, because at the end of the day, it's not about keeping us safe. It's about modifying our behavior in ways that make us more compliant and more boring, and take the joy out of life by making it so that we all live in this sanitized version of reality where we're never willing to take risks or do anything fun. I think behavior modification nailed it with the surveillance state stuff.
And the interesting thing is that
I'm laughing. I saw Gary. I saw you post your new vehicle that you bought for top level surveillance.
Yeah, we brought that in from Israel. I mean, Pantyhose helped me set it up. You want to?
No one knows more about surveillance, that's for sure.
Wow, this is great.
Next level, right?
Yeah, this is awesome.
The interesting thing about behavior modification and surveillance state is that it will actually promote more fear-driven events. So a surveillance state where you're totally under control, they're modifying your behavior. They know that nothing motivates the need for safety more than fear. So you're not going to have less terrorist activity. You're going to have more. They will be allowed, and that will allow them to be able to inject fear into a community. This is that's literally Gary's car right there. And that's what you'll end up having is more terrorist-driven events to scare people, to tell them we need more of your rights. This has been happening since all of human history, right? Like, that was scary. We need more of your rights. We're here to protect you. It hasn't worked out. Murder rates are too high. Rapes are too high. Look at the UK. It's a complete mess. Rape gangs everywhere. They are completely surveilled. Completely. There's like 4.5 million cameras in London alone, and the crime is skyrocketing because they'll allow the crime to take more rights. It's just a perpetual cycle that we see over and over again.
Yeah, that's not necessarily, I mean, you talk about that, but this is the problem, is the whole idea of actually trying, because the reality is, yeah, I mean, Washington, D.C. has the most surveillance cameras, I believe, in the U.S. You know, one of the top cities, apart from, you know, those inside China, the only one in the list is London with, I think it's like nearly 1 million cameras. Okay. Now, the cameras themselves, when they were actually put in there during the late 80s or the 90s, I mean, the whole spec of it is increased exponentially with the facial recognition technology, et cetera, et cetera. They were actually bought in to actually not record behavior, but to record and track back on behavior that caused either terrorist incidents, et cetera, et cetera. It's not predictive behavior. That's not exactly what it was bought in for in the first place. And so you have to get that straight. Whether it's morphed over time in terms of cultural shifts, which have happened over there, which obviously I don't agree with, and, you know, government policy, et cetera, has, you know, brought about, yes, rape gangs, etc. But the reason they're not tackled is because of cultural political atmosphere. But you have predictive behavior. Now, if you're actually trying to work overseas and you have people working in this country or any friendly country, there is a modification in behavior on the way people actually act, right? And that's what that aids in, and it prevents espionage, it prevents terrorist events, etc., etc. We can laugh about it. We can talk in an ideal world. Everybody wants to coexist and love each other. It doesn't work that way. We have people and countries, their specific aim is to destroy the infrastructure. They're not just trying to do it physically. We have to protect it both physically and in the cyber sense, because without physical, you can't have cyber. You can't have cyber security. Without physical security, you can't have. You know, it's the opposite. You know, it's the opposite. So you have to actually. The ideal world would be there would be a balance between the two, right?
What would that balance look like?
That's what we. Well, that's the debate, isn't it? You can sit there and say trade unions are a fantastic idea when it brought balance. That's why we don't have kids climbing up chimneys and 10-year-olds getting killed by heavy machinery. But then trade unions, you move from a balance where the trade unions become the power as opposed to the employees become the power. And we take that back through the way society shifts, through the way society votes. And this is where the balance is inside this surveillance metric. It's not just about stifling creativity, because people will still get on with their lives. People will still innovate. They will still commit crime. They will still commit mass murder. They will still blow up trains and planes. The whole idea of it is to actually be able to look at the lessons of it and bring in something that's preventable, and it's to protect society as a whole. Unfortunately, society doesn't often know what's good for it.
Gary, are you surveilling someone right now?
I am.
I mean, I love getting lectured from the Brit about surveillance and right, like especially because the problem is the surveillance state finds itself in need of constant justification, which means ever expanding definitions of what crime actually is, to the point that like now for making social media posts, some wanker will come knock on your door and haul you away because they didn't like the mean words you said on the interwebs. The issue, more broadly speaking, gets to like this issue about security and safety, right? The constant threat. You guys know the air. You can't raw dog air. You better put a mask on because it's an invisible threat, you guys. It's totally real and it's coming for all of us. We're all gonna die. The sky is falling on my head. We're not saying that there aren't real applications, but what we're saying is you can have a government that is confined by the power limitations that are part of its right to like our consent to be governed, and still build like defense mechanisms to protect ourselves. In fact, it's much easier to build a robust defense system when you allow for decentralization, when you force a centralized system of surveillance on all of us. You're actually putting us all at much greater risk by the fact that you have compiled all of the data and all of the information and all of the psychological profiling and predictive modeling necessary to do real damage at scale in ways that you can't do if you left it decentralized. Like, I mean, this one is simple. I wish people cared about their rights, and I wish this was not a case where people are going to realize that the reason we have these amendments in order, right? Your First Amendment to speech and religion, right? There's a reason it's first. Your Second Amendment to carrying arms is second for a reason. Now, we don't have to quarter soldiers, but that would become very relevant very quickly if it ever became necessary again. But your Fourth Amendment gets to privacy and due process. And that there's a reason that those come in the order that they do as far as preventing tyranny. The moment, it's funny, my wife says this all the time, which is Hitler tried to design a system where he had like full surveillance. And it was difficult. People wanted to do it. What he didn't realize is all he had to do was offer some people some free shit and some convenience, and they'd give all that shit up for free without any pushback whatsoever. We really need to figure out a way to bring this back, like to bring back our right to exist without people watching and judging every single action we're doing on whatever timeline they're doing it. It's terrifying.
Well, thank you guys for watching. We have about 2,000 people. You're watching us. We're watching you. Remember to like and share. Do you guys hear me?
It's all echoing. Gary was hacking us while we were talking. Gary's over here plugging away in his van.
Yeah, something's going on in that van.
I didn't do anything, man. I'm getting messages here saying I need to check my blood and go to some doctor. So I'm thinking somebody's already tapped into my blood base. See, this is again why we must pursue a full-in, all-comprehensive, 24/7, 365 days, 8,760-hour surveillance of every fucking thing every humanoid does on this planet.
Do you remember to delete your 23andMe data?
I never did 23andMe, dude. I couldn't believe people were signing up for that thing. Did you guys actually do that?
No, it's ridiculous. No.
Hell no.
Dana?
I did it. Oh yeah. No, I started one of my last partners and I started a gene interpretation company for like your health. The problem is like 10% of your genes are not even accurate. It's like we can't even we don't even know what they are. So it messes up the whole rest of your genome. But yeah, you don't want it tied to your, personal information, blah, blah, blah.
So Pav's an expert on a bunch of stuff that in regards to this, it's really fascinating. So we right. And we've had discussions about, so when I found out all this stuff had happened to me, right? The FISA warrant, and we'd been under all this surveillance. I really wanted to know if there was any way I could have privacy again. Like if I want to have a conversation with somebody, and be supremely confident that no one is listening, what would it take? And you know what Pav told me? Like, who's a subject matter expert here. You can go in a skiff with a white noise, like a level 6 skiff with a white noise machine. Otherwise, all of this other stuff you might want to do, if you want to have like a separate phone, or there are ways to listen in depending on who wants to listen to you. It's it was a tough pill to swallow, this idea that privacy and our ability to have privacy has almost completely been defeated by the tech state.
Oh
yeah, completely. You can't have a private conversation. We tell people all the time, despite all this stuff that people try to sell you, if they're selling it and they're advertising it online, it's already been broken. You're better off literally just getting a burner phone and tossing it. Literally. That comes from my guys at Warminster. I send all over the world to do this stuff. It's very, very difficult to actually do it. Yeah, and a skiff definitely works. And, you know, Dust will actually tell you I've got one. Because everything is everywhere. I mean, a few years ago, okay, give you a little bit of background on this. A few years ago, everybody remembers that the North Korean internet got took down.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys that work for me did that. I mean, but they're doing it here all the time. And that's the problem. I have programs that you can actually, where I can check your MDU data. I could put it on your house and I could get all the phone data from 30, 60, 90 days ago. Now, this is freely available stuff. And I can trace those back to its original source of where the phone is actually there, you know, where it comes from. So all the way from Florida to New York. We actually had one where they were actually doing a construction project, Chinese company, 4 phones straight back to the Chinese consulate. That's the benefits of this type of stuff.
Pat, if somebody's advertising something as the super safe secret way to have illegal conversations, who usually does that?
They're full of shit.
100% full of shit. Pardon my French.
Signal totally works though, you guys. And
yeah, my signal was hacked, guys.
And the Zuckerbot 3000 is definitely keeping your shit encrypted, not using what's on WhatsApp.
Okay, let me ask a question. VPN sales are up 1,000% in the UK because of their, and this is really a very live topic right now because they're going full on in the UK.
Yep.
I'm not debating this anymore. I'm just having the conversation because it is. Look, I do think it's an on or off thing. I don't think you can kind of do it, and I don't see how you go back to the 1920s where we didn't have this type of surveillance. Once it's out the bag, I mean. Honestly, how are you going to get people to stop doing it? They're going to say, look, we need it because other people have it. I mean, it's just it's a very slippery slope. I don't know. But my question is, okay, let's say that we go into a world where we're living in, there was a movie made about this where people are using crypto, you know, off grid, and the VPNs, do they work?
Yeah. So They do work as far as like at a certain level. Now there's a certain level where it can be tracked back to you, right? Even if you're running VPN through VPN. It's funny because I had this I've been working for the last week. I've been figuring out what it takes in order to have multiple crypto wallets that aren't connected to each other, right? The AI tech has gotten so good that if we've ever sent anything between our 2 wallet networks, the AI can almost certainly find it now. And the steps that you have to go in order to have even the appearance of unconnected wallets is almost flabbergasting. And so, but the VPN issue, what's interesting about it is that while it can eventually be tracked, right? It's about being able to shift your locality to apply to whatever rules you want, but it feels like a trap to me, which is much like Signal, much like anything that's ever advertised as like, come do your shady business dealings over here. It's literally like them saying, we want to put extra surveillance. And there's two examples I give. One is Signal, or I'm sorry, Telegram, Pavel, blah, 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 blah.
The globalist Pavel, yeah.
Yeah, I'm great with foreign names, right? But he was detained recently, like a couple months ago.
In Paris. Yeah.
And came out and said that they were going to hold me and Julie Assange me until I gave them a backdoor access into Telegram. Now, I don't know if that's a real story or not.
No, there's already a backdoor access to Telegram. I can verify that myself.
And then the other, I remember like maybe, probably 4 or 5 years ago at this point, a story coming out about like the Fed's ability to track Monero specifically. That there's a backdoor access into the Monero chain that allows for the tracking of like that's why they've allowed it to continue as the super secret way to be able to do stuff without anybody seeing it. There's a public side and then there's a backdoor entrance. And so when you get to thinking about how do you operate in a world that is under this level of surveillance, there's a concept, and I've spent a ton of time talking about this with Pav, called the gray man, which is at some level you have to blend in so that you don't trip like the pattern recognition in the surveillance state. But if you're organizing politically or you're standing up to power, or frankly you're doing something fucking criminal that you shouldn't be doing, like the ways that you have to operate, you can't. There's no way to hide from the surveillance state. You have to do it under the guise of the surveillance state without like tripping it off. It's a really fascinating concept, the gray man, which is you fit in just enough, like you play the role just enough that like you don't stand out, but you're still able to operate.
You can deconstruct these patterns, but they take an awful lot of time, awful lot of patience, and frankly, a lot of money. You can deconstruct where your driving license is going to be, where your original phone is going to be, how you're going to purchase a new phone, how you're going to take everything back off the phone. We work with people where we will actually take the phones apart and take everything off them and put encryption on there. But it's not cheap. And frankly, if you actually know I'm going to give you a call on a Thursday, Dustin, they've got my new stuff anyway. Mm-hmm. So there's very, very little you can do about it. At the end of the day, it depends how far you have to go. If you want to become, we're the anomaly in history. The Chinese, the Russians, the way they operate their economies and their political system, et cetera, that's the norm. The way they restrict people's freedoms, the way they talk, what they allow you to say, et cetera, et cetera. But these people who actually live there are conditioned to think that that is normal. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, they want to erode that, in the West. And frankly, the only way to actually do that, in my opinion, and to combat it is to actually, you have to fight fire with fire, because sooner or later you're going to get burnt. You're not just going to get burnt, you're going to get burnt down. And that's the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah, Pav, give the listeners out there a little bit of basic advice of counter surveillance 101, if that's even possible.
Super easy. I mean, never travel the same way twice. Go and sit in a Starbucks car park for 2 or 3 hours. Go into a parking lot where there's one way in, one way out. People will do repeatable patterns. But if you've got a nation state following you, you're going to build those routines over numerous weeks and months. They're going to break off when they figure out that you go right out of work as opposed to the left. Then they're going to pick it up at the next block, and they're going to confirm that 10, 15 times, and they're going to build that slowly. in terms of a physical surveillance. But frankly, all I need is your bloody phone number. And also I need is your data from your phone when you can actually put it down. You know, even with the civilian technology, it's accurate within 10 to 30 meters. The military GPS stuff is accurate within about a meter. You can pick all those phone signals up. You can even go into it and find out what you've downloaded. You can trace all that. And that's stuff that we do all the time. It is super, super easy to do. So frankly, I mean, a lot of the time you've really got to just surrender to it, and thank God that you can still say what you want most of the time without consequences. You can still do what you want most of the time without consequences. You can still spend your money when you want it, how you want it most of the time without consequences. And that is so much more than a lot of people actually have.
This is why half of the time I meet with people, they're like, "Where's your phone?" At home. Yeah, it's kind of a simple thing. Don't take your surveillance device with you everywhere you go. Like, try to actually be a free person, experience life without a phone. It's interesting. Destroys those patterns too.
Yes.
You know, the flip side of this is, because I don't think you can stop it, is, and I go back to that movie I watched, you had a lot of techies that were just building equipment to bypass the systems, constantly hacking the hacker, right? Hacking the surveillance. So we will end up with a war, right? We'll end up with because I think if you think it through, like, I'm probably not really easily to surveil. I'd be interested to know, because I don't go anywhere, right? I mean, I just stay home. And, but I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine. Dustin, do you think you're still surveilled? They don't have unlimited resources.
Well, I used to think that. Now I realize that it doesn't require the level of human effort to do the. I don't believe I'm under physical surveillance,
right,
or the way I was before. You'll appreciate this. One of the things we did when we were under physical surveillance, we would put our phones in the microwave. If you don't know, your microwave actually will work as a Faraday cage.
Yep.
Like a poor man's Faraday cage. We'd throw our phones in the microwave. We'd jump in the truck and we'd drive literally into the middle of Death Valley, like down dirt roads, and like make them follow us into the middle of fucking nowhere. We would stop. We would get out and look at the stars. Right? Like we used to joke that, like, Jim in the van, who is like our surveillance guy, right? Like, poor Jim in the van got stuck on our duty, like following, like trying to surveil us, because I will randomly, like, you know what? It is 2:00 in the morning and I want to fuck your day up. Like, Jim in the van. Like, I'm jumping in the truck, I'm driving into the middle of nowhere. And I'm not doing anything. I'm just gonna look at the stars, I'm gonna pee. And then, right, I'm gonna do like drive a circle. I'm just drive back home and sit like where we were at. And but what concerns me is it used to be what you said. They don't have unlimited resources. Who gives a shit if they collect? Right, when the Snowden stuff came out, I used to tell people, you have nothing to worry about. Right, like there are so many. Somebody still has to like go through and organize the information and say, oh, this is a bad guy. The problem is what we call AI and what large language models are exceptionally good at is processing large data sets to recognize patterns. And so it's no longer necessary for an agent to be suspicious. And this is what I was saying a little bit with the discretion of law enforcement, the discretion of prosecutors, right? We technically violate all kinds of fucking law. Like, there was a poker game at Gary's house, right? Now, I'm sure you could find like some
allegedly,
yeah, right.
Allegedly.
Like no, we play for magic money and stuff. Like, not
there
the
you
real
go. It's
right?
for cookies.
But again, if it used to be that some agent would have to define criminal intent and say, you know, somebody would have to like devote their time, money, and effort to go after you. You know what I'm saying? Now it's a point though where like you don't need that. You don't need somebody. The AI is constantly like going through all of the data that's being collected and saying, ooh, I don't know, that Eric guy. Did you see he changed his routine? Now all of a sudden he's driving by the strip club every couple nights. We know what that leads to, right? Like, put that man in jail, right? Like he has 5 markers of like change of behavior that could be problematic and signal that he's using drugs now, right? It doesn't mean that he's using drugs. It's right, like maybe the rescue mission right next door he's volunteering at, right? The problem is AI is a blunt instrument that they're relying on to do precise stuff. And this is why I'm against the like broader surveillance state concept, which is there should remain a level of like, you know what, of course we need to go after criminals. Of course, like there, but somebody needs to identify, like it used to be that they had to think you were doing a crime before they like got into your shit and went out like full scoped you. Now it's, we're looking for crime on everybody all the time, not like, oh, you've done something to like warrant extra attention, and now we're going to take a look to see if like you really were doing something, right, based on this very limited window of what the investigation could be, to like now we're being investigated for every crime at all times by something that has zero human discretion. It's a scary place to be.
It does have discretion, though. This is the thing, because you look at it depends on what the guardrails are actually, what the guardrails are on AI. It will give you completely different results, or enough of a variation in results where you're not really sure what you're getting. Now, if you use that on the intelligence thing, unless you've actually got guys on the ground that can actually input that stuff, I don't know, whether it's Syria or something, you can run all the country reports you want. You can pull in all the information from Mistral, DeepSeek, Gemini, all this type. You can build it all in, and you'll get a version somewhere in the middle, so you know exactly why somebody else is kind of thinking the way they're thinking and why their policy is that way in that particular area. You know, it's like, you know, you watch MSNBC, and Rachel Maddow, you know, runs the education system. You'll get a bunch of MSNBC viewers. You put Sean Hannity in charge of the education system for 20 years, you'll get a bunch of Fox viewers, right? But you want something in between. You want to be watching CNN, watching all this, reading different newspapers, reading the Telegraph, reading the Guardian, all this type of stuff, and be able to actually formulate your own ideas. And that's what you really want to do with AI. That's where it's a great tool, especially if you can mix in on the ground intelligence for it. So it is great in that respect. But again, it's like everything else. It depends on how it's programmed to actually perceive things. And that's where the issue is.
Agreed.
Thank you, Hidden, for reposting. We almost have 3,000 here. Remember to like and share. It helps us with our algorithm and with all these guys watching.
Hey, can we, before we close off, could we just like take 10 minutes to talk about the debate and what's going well, what's not going well? Are we done here, or y'all want to?
I think we've all made the points. I thought it was a good discussion tonight.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Again, it's hard because you can't really make serious arguments in favor of like being surveilled all the time.
No. The best part is, though, I really like Pav, and I'd like to hang out with him, but he already knows that after surveilling me during this episode. So I would like to learn more.
I'm just glad you're wearing pants tonight, Eric.
I'm not. Your data is incorrect, sir.
Back to that on the ground information stuff. So we're still missing something. Like, we're still missing the like juice of like real
Arguments.
confrontation. Yeah.
Bottom line,
I agree.
Who do you trust the most? Do you trust corporations and governments to farm out these things to corporations and then depend on, they're going to actually do defense, foreign policy, education policy on data that they're actually now controlling? Or do you trust the government?
It's a
bit of a catch-22.
it's such a false dichotomy, though. Like that.
Describe the difference.
Right.
What's the difference between the government and the corporations anymore? There's no difference.
Which is actually the definition of fascism, right?
That is a huge problem.
That's the corporate state for you.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's
our
where
major corporations, you know by name, they are the largest lobbyists. They are now seat holders in all the major positions in the government, from the FDA.
They've admitted in public, on camera, and in writing, Zuckerberg admitted to being used like a tool by state divisions, multiple divisions, including the IRS. What the hell the IRS is showing up around COVID and Facebook and a presidential election is beyond me, but this is a public company, man. It makes $1 million every 9 seconds. Okay. And they're working for the US government around the world. That is not cool. That company should have lost 40% of its stock value overnight. Okay. This is church and state was supposed to be separated. That means church and fucking corporates too. It's just not church. It's the whole, this is why I actually don't think this security thing, I literally think people are going to look with a camera inside your house and know exactly where you are, what you're doing, where you're going. And I want every one of those tools, please. I want the tools too. And that's what you're going to see. The innovation pop up from anarchists. The drone thing scares the shit out of me. And it should scare the hell out of everybody. I want to be able to defend against drones. I've had little planes pop over here, and I'm like, if some crazy guy wanted to fill that plane up with some gasoline, just ram it right into my house. These are really low-flying water planes. And I'm like, how can they let these, anyway, I think I would hope that the innovation, that's why I asked about the VPN. I would hope that we'll be able to buy some tools that are really cool, including if I have to go into the dark web. I don't care.
I mean, they don't even need a camera to see inside your house. They can tell by your energy usage. So like what the really interesting things like I've dug into fairly recently. And this is why, like, from an AI, we talk about guardrails. There are no fucking guardrails.
Right.
No. I hope you guys understand that right now, because we do not have a functioning government, right? There is, when Pavlov says, who do you trust more, the people you vote for or the corporations? There is no distinction between the two. And because we don't have a functioning regulatory body on like these industries, we have no guardrails. And because we don't have an actual say in anything that's passed in legislation, it's written by lobbyists, right? We are not the constituents. The donors are the constituents based on the system we have. Is that, like, for example, I've long advocated for AI. Listen, I don't want to go back to the 1920s, right? Like, my goal is not to be like pull out my gold bar and give you a few shavings for like the chicken, like the eggs that I bought from you that day, right? I like the efficiency that AI gives us, and like, right, I realize that there's give and take, but we should implement firewalls. You know what I don't want? I don't want Palantir to have both my electrical data so that they know everywhere when I'm awake, when I sleep, when I shit, right? Because the bathroom light turns on, so they know, like, oh, he wakes up, like, oh, right, he's peeing extra, maybe he's got a prostate problem. And now your phone will pop up with like, oh, have you had a prostate exam lately? That's the kind of real world shit that's
too late
happening. But like Palantir, the same AI, the same like training data should not include. We should have one that can go through like your health data. That one should have no other access to your like life and marketing data. You have to segregate this shit out to prevent the worst dystopian outcomes, and we have none of that. None.
Dustin, that's already done. Our entire data set from the government has already been completely combined and handed over to Palantir. It's already done. They already have that information. And the worst part is Americans are cheering on Palantir because the stock is going up and making them wealthy. You are literally making money with the ranchers who treat you as cattle. And that's what's happening right now. Would you disagree, Pav?
Oh, no, I completely agree with that. I mean, I just don't know what you do. I mean, to be honest,
me neither.
Like everything else, when you actually dumb down the population through a very inconsistent, crappy education system. This is what happens. And you get the government, you get the representatives you deserve.
Yeah.
You know, a healthy population is unafraid to stand up for its rights, and an educated population is unafraid to hold its elected representatives accountable. Good luck.
Yeah, that's why we get processed slop to eat. We've got people who are overweight, fluoride in our water, lowered IQs. You said the average IQ is 98. That's down to 91. And that is since the invention of the smart device. The average IQ has dropped almost 8 points since the invention of the smart device.
Has it really?
Yeah. Yeah, Dustin, that's already done. Like what we don't want to happen, it just happened. That's already done.
I think my IQ's improved. With
certain ones have. On average, the American IQ has dropped, I think, 8 points in the last 20 years. 8 points on average.
Look, I mean, I am aware that I'm like, hey, I'm just scrolling here. This is not productive.
Yeah.
So you do have to be disciplined, but that's true of everything. I mean, it doesn't help that we have kids coming out of school with 4th grade. They can't read, dude.
Yeah.
They can't read. And I don't know, like the surveillance community did not do that.
I completely disagree with that. I think they had an absolute hand in that, so it makes surveillance easier. You create a pacifist, scared, overweight, lazy society. They'll do whatever you tell them.
So you're going back.
Talking about behavior.
Yeah. Huh? Behavior modification.
That's what's always happened. You've always, since the Industrial Revolution, people have educated the workers to the level of which it needs to actually maintain the means of production.
Correct.
There you go.
So the question becomes like, because you're right, it has already happened, which is why we missed the boat on some of this stuff. I don't think it's irreversible, but I don't think there's any will to do it. That's other
bingo.
Right. And a couple people asked why the government was following me early. To be clear, like based on like the surveillance, never indicted or even accused of any crime. Not once. So all of that surveillance, all of that.
It's great. You don't have to be surveilled, which is really cool.
That's freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't know until years afterward when I got letters from Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, right, and Twitter that said, "Oh, we turned over full access to your digital, like to your account, to the government years ago. No due process, no ability to challenge it, right?" And the whole reason is I was doing things politically that the state deemed dangerous. And you know what what brought the most heat down upon my head is when I built the wall. So when we publicly raised the money and built the prototype for Trump's wall was by far the worst they came down on us, not because of the immigration issue, but because if people realized how badly we're being, like the taxes that are collected, what you get back in return is a fucking joke. Yeah. It's a joke. And if we all collectively, like if you start fixing your potholes on your street, right? Not, please, daddy government, come help fix like my life for me. And you just start taking action. What you realize, the government is the least efficient way to do anything on every single matter. And the amount of corruption that comes with getting anything done through government is seriously unbelievable. So we've got to start taking shit into our own hands. And right, like I agree that the answer to win the AI war is not right. Like, sure, Palantir, go knock yourself out, but you know how we'll beat Palantir? With Bitcoin. Right? It's the belief in decentralization, that
proof of work.
Yep. Again, the fact that everybody can contribute and come up with stuff, that always in the long run beats out the centralized power systems, no matter how much of a head start they have. And everybody wants us to believe that somehow AI is going to be different. Like, oh, well, whoever gets ahead this time, like it's a super serial. Now that the answer is learn to build your own AI outright. Like that is all. Do not use just chat GPT, jailbreak shit, build it out yourself. And good luck, because the Dustin AI is going to stomp a mud hole in your stupid AI the same way I stomp a mud hole on debate night every Tuesday. Let's go.
Whenever I get those calls, that's like, oh, this call is being recorded for all purposes. I say, oh yeah, me too. I'm also recording. Sounds good.
Every phone
Like,
call
always
is
tell them,
recorded.
they're like, what do you mean? What'd you say?
Every phone call is recorded, and now that AI is prevalent for voice detection, even burner phones are becoming less and less effective. Your voice is still transmitted into a central location, still processed based on its frequency, and you can still be identified via voice. Everything in your home electronically is a surveillance tool. Doesn't even matter if you think it is or not. It certainly is. I actually have a friend of mine who I think he served like 8 years in prison or jail for computer crimes. He got recruited by the intelligence agencies. They had to detect, they were trying to follow a guy, and they're like, hey, listen, he has kind of a skiff. So they'd leave their phones with this other guy, they'd leave their phones in the car, they'd meet in this location, and they followed this guy for like 4 months. And here's what he did to break this. They figured out this guy always had a bag of potato chips, which had like a foil bag. So every time they spoke, he created a device that would go through the wall as they were sitting in this cafe next to the table they sat at all the time, and it would take the reverb from the foil casing of the potato chips and read it out into a sensor that would figure out word for word. This is like 10 years ago. They were spying on a guy with a bag of potato chips. So, I mean, if you could do that back then, imagine what it is now. I mean, it's just going to get worse. And the only way to get through it, Dustin's 100% right. The big thing about Bitcoin that people don't talk enough about is the decentralized proof of work network. That's totally open sourced. I am a huge advocate of open source decentralized AI, which will be the war of the future in the cyber realm. The next war will be fought over water. Like the next major war will be water. But the war that we face every day is psychological, not physical, and it will be fought in cyberspace between centralized and decentralized AI forces. If you're not involved in that, you don't understand it, you absolutely need to start researching it. There are groups forming everywhere of very smart people to build their own garrison, to build their own army, to march against centralized AI, which has full endorsement of every government in the world, by the way. The funding for these centralized AI program, we just released what is $150 billion in the big, beautiful bill for, this is a good lesson for everyone, for border security. Here's a lesson. Everything that you have ever voted on to be used against someone else within a 2-decade period is being used against you. So there's no way that surveillance is staying at the border. It is absolutely coming to your front door. It's already here, but it'll be stronger, it'll be faster, it'll be completely equipped, and it'll be completely monitoring everything that you do, whether you know it or not. It already is. And I think Pav will probably speak to that more than anyone, because he's one of these guys. It's good to know these guys, even if they have a jester face with a weird shaver on the side of it. I know a bunch of guys like him, and it's great to know them because you can figure out that your television is watching you. You're not just watching it. If you understand how to program it correctly, everything that you do. Like, we live in such a strange world. That's why you're seeing this movement towards homesteading. And people laugh at these people. They just don't want to be surveilled. They don't want cell phones in their property. They want to build fences with their hands. People think they just want to churn butter. They want to be left alone. All of humanity, at our very core, just wants to be left alone. And we're approaching that time in history where the people who just wanted to be left alone are about to get involved.
It's funny that you say that, because I was just going, hey, look, what do we do about it? Is a VPN, that's not the right solution. The right solution is get off the grid, make your own food. The more I think about the food, I'm like, dude, I have enough property to do that here. But it's almost getting to a point, I got into the what's the word for it? The valence of being that suppressive security guy, right? Like, I would easily become this human creature. Like, I would rationalize and justify, like, I could win this debate. Hey, look, it's all or nothing. And there's just too much fear out there. And I most certainly would exploit the shit out of humanity because I would justify it. So if I think I would do that, I most certainly think that other people are going to try to do it. This is why I keep saying we have to have a revolt, I think, man. Like, this is a very important thing, because for the first time in my life, I do not feel very comfortable traveling to other countries, entire continents. I will not go to the UK right now. I'm not even sure they'd let me in the country, dude. Like, because I've been harsh on their leadership, and they deserve it. Okay, I mean, really deserve it. I think all the Brits should just revolt right now in the streets, dude. Go find the heart you lost in the 20s and over the last 50 years. These are great people, man. Ireland is burning down right now.
Spain too.
So sad.
Germany.
I mean, it's so sad, right? And I don't know. I do think that the Europeans, the EU, is going to try to spin this UK thing up. And if the UK doesn't work, they're going to spin the guy up in Bulgaria. He's probably a naughty boy. He's going to go and become the next. Like, I don't think the European blue bloods, the Dutch Anglo cartel, has any other choice but to blow the system up, which is release all the brown people and let them go crazy. All the immigrants, the 23 million immigrants. Dude, there's places in London near Canary Wharf that it is not English anymore. Yeah. You can say it's only 3% of the population. There are no English policemen there. It's so concentrated. By the way, if you think that doesn't happen, when my family moved to America, guess what we did as Sicilians? We hunkered up with each other, dude. And anybody that liked us, the rest of you guys were enemies, and we were going to sit here for 50 years, pay our way, pay our tuition, and then 50 years from then, we'd be like, okay, we're Americans now, and welcome to the Cardone family. But like the first 50 years, my family did naughty things, man. Naughty things. One side of my family was very naughty, and I have no idea what the rest of them did just to survive. I have no idea. But people do whatever they need to do to survive, right? That's what human beings do. It's in our code. It's terrifying to me. Like, it is. It's like, wow, we are moving into a surveillance state, and I think there's going to be a war over it. It won't be very
unavoidable, yeah.
And it won't be very many of us.
3.5% rule, Gary. 3.5%.
I was thinking, hey, it's 3 or 4%. The rest of them are going to just get in line. Dude. They're going to either there'll be 4 or 5% of them become the criminals themselves, the government. And then the rest of the 98% are just they are the enemy, though. Mm-hmm. I got to say this, okay? That 90%, I don't worry about the 4%. I know who they are. It's the 90% that I thought was my friend, that when we go to the courtroom or we go to jail or we go right in front of they leave. They fucking lose their shit, right? They don't. And that is that middle bracket. It's the 80% are the problem because they don't go in. People bitch and they go, wow, you're in the top 1%. Yeah, I took the top 1% of all the risks too.
Yep. Okay,
sorry, man. I mean, that's just the way this works. Someone should have told you that most people who take great risks, they end up doing fine. That's the hilarious part, right? And at least they have great stories to tell. At least they have great stories to tell, man. So I never thought I'd be living in a country that had this level of surveillance. Never.
Shocking.
I find myself, you know what I find myself doing? Don't send me an email. Don't send me a text anymore. Like, if I don't know your number, if you think I'm being rude to you, dude, it's just because I don't want to pick my phone up. And if you're on X, don't message me on Telegram. Like, I ain't using Telegram, Signal, WhatsApp. I have a phone, dude. You either have my phone number or you don't. And the emails are ridiculous. Like, are you like Google just can write a fucking email?
Yeah, read the terms and conditions. I don't know how it is
now.
I
didn't know that either.
When I opened a new Gmail in 2022 and I actually took the time to read it, and it said that they have the right to scan and read any of my emails, and they had the ability to send an email from this account on my behalf.
Have you read all the terms and conditions on all the apps? I feel like that's something Eric has done. like Facebook and
I did like through 2021 and 2022 when I was really like in the digging mode of wanting to know it. Now that I know, like you can do like 2 years of real good research and just realize that whatever the worst possible outcome for control is, that's like, yeah, that's the end of the rabbit hole. Like it's already there. It's just whether or not you see it.
The whole system's so corrupt, though. The FTC controls all those terms and conditions. That is in their bailiwick, or the DOJ, probably the FTC. The FTC went out of its way to say a retailer must be clear and concise. These are the words they use, clear and concise, in their terms and conditions. And there's not an economist or an MBA on this panel or anywhere listening that can actually read Google and Amazon's terms and conditions. Tell me what the differences are. You need a fucking $4,000 an hour lawyer, bro. That is not clear and concise. And it is not standard. Every retailer on the planet, I told Visa, MasterCard this, I'm like, you don't need 52 million different terms and conditions. Oil has one. It's called an ISDA agreement. A nat gas contract, an ISDA agreement. Another power ISDA agreement. These are exactly identical contracts. There's no refund policies that are different. There's no, you got to call this 1-800 number. You have to scratch your butt, smell the coffee again, make sure you put it together, answer all these dumb questions. No, it's not working. None of that happens in real markets. Only in this market, in these markets where they must want all the details. Otherwise, why would they allow you guys to refund all the time? Literally, they never say no to you. It's really weird, man.
Think about the coordinated effort, Gary. So we talked about this earlier. Do you think it's the same people? Of course it is. So we have really extreme terms and conditions that outline pretty much we own you, but you get this for free. I mean, that's the trade-off. At the same time, on 50% of the shirts that we're wearing, if you look at the tag in the back, it says, do not iron while wearing. Right. So while they're getting smarter with this detailed language, the average human being has to be told not to wear their shirt while they're ironing it. I mean, it's really a strange situation that we've lived through for the last probably 4.5 to 5 decades, really strong in the last 2, but a very significant dumbing down of society, making society lazy, and then overburdening them with things they can't possibly understand, like terms and conditions for Gmail. And they may have removed that from Gmail. So I'll be totally frank on that. 2022, and you can go back, with the Wayback Machine.
Well, that's my point, dude. You can't do that to 8 billion people.
Exactly.
You need to have one bill of rights or bill of duties or laws or rules where all commerce occurring in cyberspace occurs under these terms and conditions, whether you're using Smitcoin, Visa, MasterCard, Billy Bob's, Cash. Who cares, dude? There's one set of rules.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to happen is that this is why I've been so angry about people spending Bitcoin for potato chips. Because, like, bro, you should be getting a monster discount. The retailer is literally paying 8 to 15%, and you're giving him Bitcoin, and he has no leakage. You either don't understand what you have, or he doesn't understand what he has. But he does not have an incoming refund, which is worth a lot. It's $400 every time somebody does that on every $100 event. It's $380. Every dollar, $3.80 of loss that's returned, just bought back, refunded, fraudulently refunded, or whatever. And they keep taking it. The margins are so massive, man. They can withstand all that leakage. And you're losing all your retailers because you only end up with 1 or 2 or 3. Walmart, Amazon, that is not healthy, man.
No.
But
it is not healthy at all, okay, that you have no competition.
But that's the design, right? Which is people think that these like complex regulations are designed to like protect us. They're designed to protect the companies. The reason that Facebook and Twitter like advocated for their quote unquote harsh regulations is that it's raising the ladder up behind them.
Yep.
Which is right, like compliance becomes so burdensome and so expensive that competition can't come up out of nowhere anymore. I have a rule of life that has served me incredibly well. Anytime, and Gary, you'll appreciate this. I've probably said it to you several times. Anytime something is more complex than it needs to be, it's because somebody is trying to take advantage of you.
Yep.
It's the only reason to make things more complex than it's the only reason to have a 10-page contract instead of a 2-paragraph contract.
Obfuscate.
Yep. And
Always.
and I've that rule, like it's one of the red flags that, like, if I'm doing business with somebody, all of a sudden you're putting a big, long, complex contract in front of me, and our deal is something really simple, I immediately, the red flags go off, and like, that's not a deal I'm going to make. And you have to, again, it's anytime and this is also the interesting thing about AI, which is it used to be that they could, like, the corruption from our government, they got away with it because they wrote it in such complex ways that regular human intellect could not decipher what was being written as far as, like, the system where the money's going, etc. So the bad side of AI is, like, when it's applied to us. But everything that the devil intends for evil, God can use for good. I think the same will be true when we point these tools back at the government and we say, show us every time a congressman added something to a piece of legislation that financially benefited him or his family.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it becomes uncovered in ways that are really interesting. So, right, we tend to be, like, very dark when we go over these things because I think people need to be warned. But there's always a duality with tech, which is in our hands pointed at, like, the people who would control us or abuse us. It's a very powerful weapon for good. In their hand directed back at us, it's a very powerful weapon for evil. There's always a duality to tech.
I'm going to make a suggestion to the entire panel that we all get on our phone and check our bank account. Pav has been way too quiet for about 20 minutes now, which means that there's probably 6 pizzas waiting at my door I didn't order. My bank account is empty, and now my camera is listening to my kids in the other room. What's going on, Pav?
Oh no, I'm just listening to this, and it's just, I feel like, what, theoretically I agree with all this, but I think the horse has not only left the stable, it's left the farm, it's left the bloody county.
It's running free, yeah.
So, I'm not really sure what you do about it at this point, and that's the biggest problem. And yes, I agree. We need to get rid of. Well, I'd love to see term limits to get rid of these people. I'd love to see the fact that I still don't understand how somebody can enter Congress or Parliament or wherever, and at the end of it, they come out worth more money than they ever had before they came in.
Amazing.
It's absolutely shocking. But
like Tim Scott, who made $26 million last year trading stock, that came out about 40 minutes before we got on air. $26 million, public servant.
To be honest, the problem is, like, I will say, I believed I had a duty to exhaust every peaceful possible means to correct the system, right? That I had to, right, build movements and try to steer people. And I've become very, very jaded as far as, like, the human, like, our ability to fix this current system. And to be honest, it's the beauty of, right, like, I'll say it again, and it's not just blatant pandering. Bitcoin is the path, which is you don't try to fix this broken, corrupt system. It's rotted all the way to its core. There is no good left saving of the federal government. I promise you, there's nothing left. You know what you do? You build a superior parallel system, right? And you use that in order to affect the kind of world you want, right? Bitcoin did not try to destroy the dollar so that it could rise. What it did is it built a superior money and currency, And ultimately, when given an option between an inferior and a superior product, guess what happens? The superior product wins out. And so I've become wholly convinced that don't waste your time. The idea that we control, who do I vote for if I don't want war? Who could I possibly go vote for right now if I don't want Big Brother surveillance? Who could I possibly go vote for right now if I don't, maybe the craziest psyop of them all is that the corrupt bastards in Washington, D.C. have convinced us that we're responsible for all the bad shit that they do, because once every few years we go in and do a popularity contest. It's fucking crazy.
Well, I think how crazy it is, the term limit, Pav, I completely agree. The problem is you have to convince the people who violated the term limit agreement you're trying to create to vote against their own future. The incentives aren't aligned. You can't, but that's what Bitcoin is. It's like Hayek said, it's a sly roundabout method that they can't control. And that has to be replicated in AI and every other system known to man.
And by the way, if we do term limits, you have to include that to staff, right? The danger is that you remove the electeds, right? You get them in and out more. What ends up happening is the chiefs of staff end up assuming all the power because the other voting members become transitory.
They all become Kissingers.
Yep. And so you also have to apply term limits for how long people can serve, in positions inside the chiefs of staff, heads of committees, that kind of stuff.
No term limits on janitors or lunch ladies. They can stay as long as they want.
No, they've got to go.
I got a term limit here, though, guys. I got to bounce out of here in the next minute or so.
Yeah, remember to follow all these guys. Gary has The Purpose of I Am on Sundays at 10:30. We do these debates every Tuesday at 5. And we are gonna vote on Gary's Twitter account, X, who won. But below, make sure you comment. You can @ me what we should talk about next week. And if you know anyone else who should join, like Pantyhose here, we're really happy that you were able to join today. So
yeah, that was awesome.
You think that we need some more fight topics? Like what?
Well, to be honest, we've struggled with talking.
Bring out an XRP one, man. Let's go ahead and just do it.
Yeah.
God.
We can always have that one. I think we could mix up the panel. I'm willing to give my spot up to Jen or Maria one of these weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jen is coming on.
I think we need to also, I don't know how to put this. It's up bluntly. We need to develop some characters and some rivalries, right? And I'll give you an example. The Dark Side Joe rivalry in Bitcoin is actually healthy for the ecosystem.
I agree.
Right? We need to find some people who kind of really don't like each other and let them go. Right now it's all we reach out to people that we all get along with and and think are fascinating and smart. We need some people who piss us the fuck off, or maybe it's not even all of us, but we need to just find think about how people would tune in if it was Darkside and Joe.
Are we still online?
Why won't they talk?
We are.
Set that up, but
well, as an example, but we wouldn't probably want to do that in front of 4,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's find some assholes to bring up, and I can pretty much moderate anybody. Or I'll go on anybody's team and soften it up. It doesn't have to be. I agree with you though, Dustin. It'd be nice to have some. Bring Zach up here if he wants to be. I don't really care who shows up.
I think if we start to we start to add more people, right? We will naturally find some of these rivalries that I think will add. Right, we want the audience to have favorite debaters.
Yeah,
and then almost like WWE style, look forward to the big showdown, right? Between
exactly.
They had it out a couple weeks ago, and a month from now they're going to have it out again on.
What do you think? I mean, we're starting to get some people that want to show up. So we've only done this 4 or 5 times, so it's not like we have a lot of experience. So it's already expanding. We had Leah last week. I've been surprised people like Danish don't show up because I think he would be good.
He's coming. He's coming in a couple weeks or so.
Yeah. Well, he needs a lot of preparation. He's such a little softball cotton ball.
Any blemish and it's off that week.
He's probably got to go to the skin guy for like 3 weeks before just to get it off.
Well, anyone who's listening, really, you really should reach out and also tag the people that you want to come on, because some of them everybody says yes.
Everybody's got an ego. If you guys can just push everybody up and go, hey, where is Joe Carlasari? Is he such a pussy he can't show up on Cardone debate?
Yeah, we just need the good ones. So
okay, or whoever. Yeah, let's suck them out here. Let's get some school teachers, some professors, and they can defend their college education. I'd love to do a college education with a teacher. Bring it.
That I would love that debate as well. Like that would be another one that I think could get really. Again, let's get 2 people who have to tell us that they went to Harvard every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. One of those on my phone today.
With the degrees in the back too.
Multiple
like
reminders.
hanging.
Oh yes, at Harvard, I learned that. Like, okay, sure you did, little guy. But no, actually that's a great topic. The value of higher education. I think that could be a very fierce debate.
You get some of the statists on here. Get a statist and an anarchist. Let them argue it out. Like there's plenty of statists.
Exactly. But we need a professor, or we need a president of a school, or somebody. Hey, dude, please come on here and tell me how you can
justify the $200,000 we pay you for our kids to go there. That would be a great debate. Dude, justify it.
My principal gets 300, and it's fucking high school. 300 large.
Seriously?
Wow. Yeah, 300, Pinellas County, dude, Shorecrest, and it's not a great school.
Wow.
And I wished I could say it was, but it's not.
This is the school that you tried to give them Solana?
Ethereum.
They didn't
Ethereum. And they said, no, we can't keep assets on our balance sheet. And I'm like,
that makes sense.
I'm pretty sure that building out there is on a bank's balance sheet, you idiot. Okay, by the way, where's your blockchain? This was the whole point. Hey, you guys are the richest school in the area. Where's your math department? Where's your blockchain department? Where's your AI department? They couldn't spell Bitcoin. And I'm like, oh my God. Gary, we will not take $1 million of Ethereum if we can't dump it tomorrow morning. I'm like, well, you're not going to get anything then. I am a really generous cat.
Yeah, I don't really understand this.
I've given them $0, not $12, because it's so stupid.
Yep.
I do not want my kids being taught by teachers and a board who say no to $1 million because they had to hold it for 4 years. Crazy, man. Instead, they get $0. How dumb is that?
I don't really understand I just don't understand the negative of that. Like what? Like
there is none.
I don't get it. It's not like you're saying, "Oh, here's a bomb that's going to go off," and you just
Dana,
have to
the negative
defend your house.
These are the minds that are teaching my children.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Because whoa, dude, you said no to $1 million just because you had to liquidate it.
Yeah, but it's also
don't worry, that guy was teaching finance.
Policy. Like people are so obsessed with following procedure or policy. It's like they can't use their brain.
Sorry, Dana. They went to the board. It's the old board, the board's old guys that just shot it in the head. And it's just anyway.
Yeah, my son just started school. One of his classes is entrepreneurship, which I already warned him is a waste of time. His first question to the teacher was
entrepreneurship and school.
Yeah, that's the first question he asked. He goes, "How many businesses have you owned?" That's what he said.
Question, man.
You can't teach that in school. That's the opposite.
No, I mean they teach him corporation structure and all this other stuff. He's taking it because he can just come home and ask me, and he's going to get an A. But
hey, guys, real quick, I've got to bounce. I don't want to be rude, but I have to bounce.
Okay. Bye,
Justin,
everybody.
call me when you're live, okay? Bye. See you guys. Hey, thanks, Pavel.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Good to meet you, Pav.
Follow everybody on here.
Thanks, Eric.